dining room and gorgeous views from the Allegheny Room, which also serves as a meeting spot and theater. Just up the hill is Ridgecrest, our HUD-subsidized apartment building. Built in 1980, Ridgecrest offers studio, 1- and 2-bedroom options for those who qualify. The Regency Room at Ridgecrest is the entertainment epicenter and temporary home to our chapel and on-campus broadcast services.
Got to speak into it.
Yes, you know the drill. Speak into it, close to your mouth, eat it.
Yep. Are you on?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 11 a.m. Fireside Chat on this Monday, August the 23rd, 2021. And we welcome you to this special and this August edition of Geese Speaks, when we welcome one of our very own from the Richfield flock to come and share insights worth sharing. And we are very happy to welcome Jennie Sue Murdock, who is joining us today, who is a very well-known resident here at Richfield, known for her support of Richfield Living and the residents and team members here, and her generosity with her time and her talents that she graciously shares in so many respects, and her altruism, which we so appreciate. So welcome, Jennie Sue.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we are honored to have you here, and we're honored to call you a resident of the Richfield community. And I tell you, I really appreciate the person that you are and the many things that you do. She told me before we went on air to not say too much about her, and because she is such a humble person, and she does what she does from the heart, and that is felt throughout. However, I just wanted to start with the definition of altruism, and it is the principle and moral practice of concern for the happiness of other human beings and other animals, resulting in a quality of life, both material and spiritual. And when I think of how exceptionally kind you are towards everyone, from the new resident that you go out of your way to welcome, which was the catalyst for the idea for Coffee Around the Corner. So that very thinking is definitely Jennie Sue, as well as her caring for the geese, making sure that they have a partner for life, and the little squirrel that she's adopted as well. This definition truly encompasses who you are morally and spiritually, reflects how you live your life and your devotion to your community and contributing to society. And I believe such attributes in many cases are instilled in us during our childhood, nurtured throughout our rearing. So can you tell us a little bit about your rearing that may have influenced you?
Well, I'd like to go back a little bit in history, because this influenced things later on, and I had not realized this till I was looking back. But there was a gentleman from France who came here back in the middle of the 19th century, Alex de Tocqueville. And one of the things that he noticed that as America was developing, we began to have all of these, I call them what we call it now, the not-for-profit sector. But earlier than that, the first recorded volunteer experience in America was Benjamin Franklin, who started a volunteer fire department in Philadelphia back in the 1700s. These volunteer fire departments began to spread across the country. And one of the things that happened in Bedford, where I grew up, we had a fire department, but it also had a band. And many of the fire departments, very unusual, we were interdisciplinary. We had young people, old people who were a part of that band. It was truly volunteer. My mother had played in it, two of my uncles. Both my parents were involved in the community of Bedford. And I remember how proud we were when Mother told me the stories that she played in the band, that the Bedford Firemen's Band was the lead band for the inaugural of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Wow.
So this is a part of the history that I grew up with. And as an 8th grader, I became a part of that band and continued throughout high school. But Bedford was a wonderful community, and I had many, many role models there, particularly family and relatives who were very supportive.
Wonderful. And, you know, that is, that shaping early on really does impact our lives later on.
Yes.
And I see where it does. And you mentioned that your family participated in the band, and I know you two sing in choir, have sang in choirs throughout your life. And so that's just one example of how one thing that you have been exposed, to which you've been exposed, has an impact and something you enjoy throughout your life. And you told me a little bit about the Johnson farm in which you were raised at Peaks of Otter, which remains today. Is that the case?
Well, I'm third generation. My father, earlier years, was a part of that, lived up on the side of the mountain, and then his parents moved to Bedford in the early 1900s. And so it's a rich history, how they made it. Growing tomatoes on the side of that mountain was amazing.
Wow.
And we had a group of us, 5 of the 17 grandchildren of the second set of children met this past Saturday at the Peaks. And we have stories that we tell. Most of us now only know about what happened in town, not on the mountain. So we're having to learn that history too.
Well, history is such an important part of who we all are.
Right.
And I think you mentioned that the next generation and maybe even the next generation attended, so that's so important. And, you know, the things that you do, your family, they would be very proud to hear of all of the wonderful ways in which you have contributed to your community in Bedford in your early years. And then, of course, you went off to school. And could you tell us a little bit about where you were educated and the impact of your education on your life?
Well, I think after high school, I went to Mars Hill, back in the mountains. And one of the first volunteer jobs I ever volunteered for was I was on a cleanup committee for a group, and I just thought this was wonderful. We encountered at that time literary societies. Later on at the University of Richmond, there were fraternities and sororities. All of these volunteer things, I was not necessarily a part of those, but that was a part of the environment. And of course, we had people who volunteered for military service. That was very important. And then, of course, we also had those who were asked to serve.
Right.
But then I did some graduate work in social work and outdoor recreation. and that led to a job in Maryland. Vickie, I do not know why, but I said I wanted to become a health and safety instructor for American Red Cross. And so in 1970, I did become an instructor and continued that for about 40 years in Baltimore. And then when we moved here, I met my husband up there. We moved here in 73, have been here ever since. And then I got, as an extension of that, got involved with disaster services with Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know all the reasons, there's no pure motive, but I think there's a sense of adventure that you have to go beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned some of the things that you learned from that, skills, and you're always retooling.
Yes.
Things have changed. We now no longer do mouth to mouth. We're doing compressions, so we have to adapt to the new ways of science.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met the most marvelous people in the world through volunteerism, whether they're episodic volunteers. For instance, we're getting ready to have the big American Heart Association walk here. I can only walk so far now, but I can certainly support the staff by honking in the background to come forward. And all of those things are important to support in some way. A wonderful fire department here that does such a great job here in our community and at Richfield. And every one of us has been touched by
Yes.
those people.
Yes. Well, your support of these organizations, which are more than I could name, of course, here, but there are many in which you have served and contributed your time, your resources, and your talents over the years, which continues today. And I think that is just such a rich history that is a part of your legacy, that you have, been such an instrumental supporter of so many organizations, and you continued your affiliation with organizations like the League of Women Voters. And just to give you an idea of how Jennie Sue's activism is so important, of course, last year we opened the new buildings here at Richfield, the villas, and then, of course, later on, Mountain Retreat. And one of the first things Jennie Sue said was, these are residents who may be relocating, and they may need to make sure their registration is up to date. So that was one of the things that she implemented on her own, was just to make sure that information was provided to new residents. So this, the work that you do it's important. That was a minor detail, it might seem, but it was a major detail in that, of course, we're in an election year, and everyone wants their vote to be counted. And so, therefore, a lot of people who maybe didn't think of that detail were given that information so that they can make sure that their registration was up to date.
When we moved here 7 years ago, that was the last thing on my mind. And then all of a sudden, I was informed that my voting precinct had changed. And I said, oh my gosh, I'd been voted in the same place for 37 years.
Right.
And so that meant a change in the registration. And anything that I can do to help that, and we'll be working on that again this fall, and we always are getting retrained and all the new forms and rules and regulations, but it is very important. And I'm appreciative of Richfield in making many of these forms available, as well as providing transportation to the polls.
Yes, yes. So these are things, like I said, that we may forget, but thankfully Jennie Sue's on the job, and she helped us all to remember that. We need to make sure our registration is up to date. Also, you work and are affiliated with the American Association for University Women, And tell us about this big book sale that's going
Well,
on.
we have the largest book sale in the region. We did not have it this past year, but this coming weekend we have it. We have thousands of books and tapes and all kinds of materials for educational purposes. We even have books in other languages. And that will be open during mall hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday afternoon, we will have our traditional bag sale. All you can get in a bag for $7. We provide the bag, so it's uniform for everybody. But we're looking forward to that. And we are asking that you do wear a mask to protect our neighbors and ourselves.
Yes. And where will the book sale be
That will
held?
be at Tanglewood Mall upstairs across from Belk.
Okay. All right. And do you happen to know the hours offhand?
The mall hours, from 10 until 9, Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, I believe, is 1 to 6.
6. Okay, wonderful. So once again, this is an opportunity for everyone to take advantage of having books of many languages and a very wonderful service provided to the general community. And so just another one of those things that, Jennie Sue, that you are a part of and a facilitator. So that is wonderful. You also are affiliated with Church Women United and the National Association of Parliamentarians, not to mention your over 50, well, almost 50 years of history with Fort Lewis Christian Church. Could you tell us a little bit about your I guess all of the kinds of the things that you did as the wife of the pastor there for over 22
Well,
years?
When Bill and I came to Fort Lewis, he was very professional, and he was to be the pastor of the church. I did other things. I was involved in Sunday school and those types of things, but also in fellowships and doing all kinds of drama that we would create, more of the fun stuff.
Right.
And that continued for many years, but it's a wonderful family of people, and of course we've lost a lot of people through death. COVID has had an effect, but wherever we have our faith community, I think this is important. I grew up with strong Judeo-Christian heritage in my community and growing up.
Yes.
And it's important as we seek within our own faith tradition how we find all about life, afterlife, whatever. But it's been a enriching experience.
Very much so. And of course, the church is a major part of the community in terms of having an impact on, from everything from providing that spiritual guidance to providing help and resources,
Right.
of which you have been a great part of through your church affiliation, as well as through other affiliations such as Blue Ridge Literacy, in which did you spend some time at Fort Lewis Elementary School?
Yes, I tutored with the school program over there. Very enriching experience. I had never worked with children before, and I've worked with a highly capable teacher who's now retired, and of course COVID has put an end to that. But I learned a great deal from those children.
Right.
I had one day one little girl ask me, she turned around and said, "Did they have school when you were little?" And I said, "Yes, I think I invented school." But anyway, it was very, very enriching.
I'm sure you enriched the lives of many students there as well. And, when you look at all of these ways in which you have contributed, like we said, your time, which is very valuable. Time is very valuable, but when you share your time and your gifts and your resources with others, then you see beyond yourself. You know, what we do for ourselves, may only be apparent or beneficial to us, but what you give and do for others is something totally different. It can have a snowball effect and really impact the next person, which is something I see with you. You are that kind of person. You make us all want to contribute to our community and make it better. So don't think that these contributions are small, because they are major. So tell me what work you are most proud.
I think the experience I had and hope to continue to have was with literacy. Well, along with serving with Red Cross. That was the longest thing that I have done on a volunteer nature. But literacy, I just got updated on Zoom with some training, and I'm waiting to receive another learner that we can work together. But I started in that back in the 90s. And I think to teach a person from another country, which is predominantly the ones I have worked with, or to help people within our own country with their language, which is a very, very difficult language. And I have appreciated that. I've worked with people from, 10 or 12 different countries. It's been highly rewarding, and I think we are anticipating more refugees coming into our area along with immigrants. So we don't know what will happen locally, but they're already working on it through our relocation offices with Refugee and Immigration Services here in the Valley, and literacy volunteers also.
Right. So would you say that, this propensity to want to help others, have you been led to do that? Is that something like you're spiritually led to do, or what would you say motivates that?
I can facetiously say that it keeps me from doing housework. But I honestly don't know. I think it's how I was raised. It's something I enjoy. I enjoy learning. I'm into lifelong learning. I like people, most of them. But I think it's there are many, mostly extrinsic kinds of things, and I'm sure intrinsic motivations there. And a sense of adventure, that there's just so much out there to grasp.
That is true. That's very true. And you touched upon some of the things that have been rewarding for you. But if you were talking to someone who, or especially the younger generation that may not be as civic-minded, or some are, of course, but I think that we look at a lot of organizations such as the Rotary Clubs, the military organizations, civic organizations where the membership may be waning. What would you say to them that would help them to understand the importance of volunteering and what they will get back from doing so?
Yeah. One of the things that's happened in the culture, we're seeing more and more of our younger people interested in episodic volunteerism, which is, things that happen 1 or 2 times a year. The other thing is that young people now are building a resume, and that can be an extrinsic kind of a thing. It can be a part of the building of that resume as to what you're doing. But I encourage young people to, sometimes it can be career exploration. We volunteer to do internships. We come to, like Richfield, what is it like to be around old people? I think I'm interested in doing something like that, and this gives you that entrance into what that means. And Richfield has had hundreds of these young people who come and volunteer, as well as more mature people. But I think it's an enriching experience. It's an exploration.
And it also broadens our own horizons in terms of knowing not only different people, but learning of their different perspectives, their different experiences. So it broadens our own horizons, and that is a wonderful way to grow in life.
That's one of the traits that we like about Richfield is the great diversity. And we have that here, but in the larger community.
Yes.
And that is so crucial.
It is.
To be able to live and serve within a diverse community.
That is true, and we certainly, that's something we certainly appreciate here at Richfield, and we certainly appreciate our volunteers. Lots of residents volunteer their time and go out of their way to make Richfield a better, a more accepting, or a more diverse community. You know, of course, when you contribute your knowledge and your interests, you know, things that you enjoy, then that will expand all of our horizons that way. We had a technical thing happen, so excuse us if we look a little funny. However, you know, that's why we have encouraged volunteerism so much here at Richfield, is we want everyone to contribute a piece of who they are, so that they leave their mark, and you'd be surprised how many people will be interested in the same things in which you're interested. And so therefore we can start something new, or pick up something old and reintroduce that. So that is an important part of Richfield living. And we couldn't do what we do without volunteers like Jennie Sue and like so many others, countless others here on this campus that support the residents, the team members, and this community in general. And we look forward to reaching out more to the community as a whole. One of the major goals of the Resident Advisory Council is to expand the reach, if you will, to connect the community, so that instead of it being this building or that building, it's all Richfield, and we are all coming together for a common goal of enriching this community. So volunteers are a major part of that, and we certainly do thank those who serve on the Advisory Council, which Jennie Sue was a part of representing residents here at Richfield and Knollwood and Lake Estates at some point as well. So you're familiar with that whole process also.
Right.
So we just look at all of the ways in which we can contribute to this community. And when we look at a person like Jennie Sue, you are quite an inspiration in so doing. And you're very appreciated for the work that you do here at Richfield as well as in the greater community. So I can't thank you enough for the way that you have embraced me and others. I see you do it all the time. Jennie Sue, when the town center opened back in January, Jennie Sue was already bringing people over and doing tours and, making sure that people are informed and are staying informed. And that is what, this whole effort is all about, is keeping people involved, informed, and utilizing everyone's gifts and talents. So any last words?
Just thank you, and I'm grateful for Richfield, and look forward to the new things on the horizon. There are new things coming, and thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. And on that note, I would like to ask you one last question. What things, or what would you like to see on the horizon? What would you like to see me, perhaps, as the volunteer coordinator, or just in general? What do you think is something that you'd like to see happening here at Richfield?
This becomes an individual matter, but I think one of the things that we have so many opportunities for socializing, for activities, And sometimes there are very few people that are there. And I would like to see more people, if sometimes it's a mobility issue. But opportunities are there for us. I know the swimming pool, the therapeutic pool, has meant so much to me in recovering from some surgeries and so forth, and continuing to move. And these, we know more and more from research that we've got to exercise at this age. We are never too old or too late to do that. So whatever we can do, and I think this is with 62, we have the exercises that you don't even have to leave your apartment or your cottage. You can exercise there. But social opportunities, coming together and being with fellow residents. So that's my vision.
Awesome. That is an awesome vision, and very true statements. You know, staying active and taking advantage of those resources that are being provided. Of course, we certainly work very hard to make sure that we have we cover a wide range of interests of things that people would like to do. And we certainly invite you to share your interests so that we can facilitate activities around those interests as well. And one of the great ambitions of Geese Speaks is to garner the community's resources, you know, your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom, so that it can be shared with others to motivate, to inspire, to educate, and just to, once again, broaden our horizons. So I certainly invite each and every resident to be a member right here for Geese Speaks, to share your life experiences and to hopefully you know, motivate someone or inspire someone in some way. And I believe that will happen from our talk today. And I look forward to the next opportunity for another one of our esteemed flock members to be here, right here with me with, for Geese Speaks. And as a programming note, Geese Speaks will occur each fourth Monday of the month, right here on the 1111 Fireside Chat. It was previously the third Monday, but that conflicts with another meeting. However, the fourth Monday of each month, you will be delighted by another wonderful member of the Richfield family. So we look forward to seeing you on the next Geese Speaks, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And finally, the quote from the Jar of Awesomeness, it really is fitting for what we've been discussing, and it states, "The things you do for yourself are gone when you are gone, but the things you do for others remain as your legacy." So you all are a part of Richfield's great legacy, and we'd like to be a part of your legacy as well. Thank you all so much. I hope you'll have a marvelous Monday, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.